You never see it coming. It's always like this. One day she still smiles at you, and the next something changes. It's not a fight. It's not a serious conversation. It's not a warning. It's just a different kind of silence. A gaze that no longer seeks yours. An energy that moves away 2 centimeters at a time until it disappears completely. And you feel it, before any word, before any explicit gesture. Something is shutting down. It's not rational. It's not logical. It's instinctive. The cut doesn't begin when she leaves. It begins when she stops feeling something that even she doesn't understand, but that her body has already perceived long before her consciousness reaches it. If this first sign has already made you see something in yourself, then you need to continue. Because what comes next is not comfortable. It's surgical, and it may silently explain every abandonment you've ever suffered. Click continue not to understand women, but to understand the mechanism that has always been dissolving you from the inside. They call it loss of interest, coldness, emotional distance. But it's none of that. It's a silent instinct of disqualification. A kind of biological radar that goes off when she senses that the bond no longer feeds what she needs. Emotional security, psychological stimulation, internal narrative, admiration. That's where men go wrong. They look for a logical explanation for something that originated in the emotional field, in the invisible part of the relationship. And when he finally realizes it, she's already gone inside. The disappearance is never sudden. The rupture is never abrupt. The discard is never unjustified. It was simply decided at a level you couldn't see in time. And that's why this chapter ends with a question that will stay with you until the end of the video. Do you recognize the moment when someone has already stopped choosing you even before leaving? Because the next chapter reveals exactly why this instinct exists and why it acts before any warning. There is a profound paradox in female behavior that almost no man understands. The decision to leave happens long before the decision to depart. It's like a glass that cracks from the inside. The surface still seems perfect, but the structure is already doomed. The silent instinct stems from what psychology calls accumulated affective dissonance. Small misalignments, micro-disappointments, invisible expectations, wounds she doesn't verbalize, chronic emotional fatigue. None of these factors in isolation destroys a relationship, but together, they create a kind of gray zone within it. It's like entering a room lit by lamps that are gradually going out. You don't notice the darkness approaching until suddenly you can't see anything anymore. This is the paradox. The woman distances herself emotionally as an act of self-preservation even before admitting to herself that she's leaving. And why does this happen? Because while men decide, rationally, women feel in the long term. And every feeling is a wild animal. It feeds in silence and flees without a fuss when it feels threatened, ignored, or malnourished. The silent instinct doesn't seek confrontation. It seeks relief. And the relief appears when she begins to imagine a life without you. Imagining her own peace. Imagining her own freedom. Imagining her own identity breathing again. At that very moment, the bond has already been dissolved internally. In the next chapter, you will see how this process manifests in real scenes, and why no man can perceive the first signs. Imagine this scene. She is sitting on the sofa. Her cell phone illuminates her face. She is not smiling, but she is not sad either. It's a neutral expression, almost distant, but that's where the danger lies. She reads something. She takes a deep breath. She closes the screen. And the instant you enter the room, she puts on an automatic smile. A polite smile. A smile that doesn't come from the soul. You ask, "Are you okay?" She replies, "Everything's great." But her body says otherwise. The body always tells the truth first. Now another scene. You're having dinner. You're talking about your day, your plans, your routine. She doesn't disagree. She doesn't create friction. She doesn't provoke conflict. But she doesn't vibrate either. She doesn't react. She doesn't participate. She's there, but she's not with you. The third example. You argued 3 days ago. It was a small argument. Normal. Nothing serious. But this time, something didn't come back. Not even after the apologies. Not even after the conversation. Not even after the attempt at affection. The link that used to automatically reconnect didn't reconnect. That's what almost no man realizes. She disconnected before leaving. The signs are never grand, never scandalous, never obvious, because the silent instinct manifests as absence, not presence. The absence of sparkle, the absence of emotional reciprocation, the absence of belonging. In the next chapter, you will understand the psychological mechanism that triggers this disconnection and why it is almost impossible to reverse once it has begun. The silent instinct has a technical name within the psychology of relationships: progressive effective disqualification. It is the moment when her mind stops seeing you as someone capable of fulfilling what she needs emotionally. And this happens on 3 levels. Level 1, breakdown of admiration. She no longer sees you as someone to be followed, admired, desired. Here the first microcrisis is born. Level 2, breakdown of emotional security. She feels that you don't understand her. You don't listen to her. You don't contain her. You no longer impact her. Level 3, breakdown of shared identity. She stops seeing herself by your side. Your story loses internal coherence. When these 3 levels align, a brutal mechanism is born. Her brain begins to emotionally exclude you to avoid pain. It's self-preservation. It's psychological protection. It's emotional defense. And when this mechanism is triggered, discarding becomes inevitable. The next chapter reveals the exact behavioral signs that show when this mechanism has already been activated and how to identify them before it's too late. Here are the most dangerous signs, those that nobody talks about, but that always appear before discarding. 1. She no longer asks about your day. It's not disinterest. It's emotional disconnection. 2. She avoids deep conversations. She doesn't want to open up about anything. She doesn't want to get involved in anything. She doesn't want to build anything. 3. She maintains the routine without the soul. She does the basics, the minimum, the automatic. 4. She kisses you, but the kiss doesn't return. The touch exists, but the emotional return doesn't. 5. She starts taking too much care of her appearance, but not for you. It's identity renewal. She is being reborn into a new cycle. 6. She gets irritated for invisible reasons. It's not irritation with you. It's irritation at still being there. 7. She creates physical micro-distances, sits further away, spends less time on your lap, avoids long hugs. 8. She no longer feels safe with you. She doesn't verbalize it, but her body shows it. And the strongest sign of all. 9. Her peace no longer depends on you. It's the emotional end long before the physical end. In the next chapter, you will understand the psychological consequences of ignoring these signs and why many men realize everything too late. What happens when you ignore these signs? Simple. You start chasing something that no longer exists. And this creates an emotional collapse that completely destroys your position in the relationship. Because when she's already gone inside, every attempt you make to fix, it seems like desperation. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man trying to resurrect what's already dead. The consequence is devastating. You increase contact, she reduces it. You intensify it, she withdraws. You insist, she disappears. Until finally you wake up to what everyone fears: the definitive silence. It's at this moment that many men say, "She broke up with me for no reason." But it's never without reason. The reason had just been happening silently for months. And then comes the shock. When she leaves, she doesn't come back. Because the inner end precedes the outer end. In the next chapter, you'll see what really works to avoid this cycle and how to rebuild your emotional presence before it's too late. Here's what really interrupts the silent instinct. 1. rebuilding masculine presence. Stop reacting to her moods. Create your own frequency. Men who maintain emotional stability reactivate admiration. 2. Reclaiming emotional leadership. Leadership is not authority. It's direction. It's clarity. It's proposing a path. 3. Rebalancing internal value. You need to stop seeking validation. Women don't respect men who beg for emotional reciprocation. 4. Repositioning identity. She needs to see you as someone who evolves, not someone who begs. Change has to be visible, not spoken. 5. The ethical warning. Never manipulate. Never force. Never play dirty. Healthy relationships are saved by awareness, not control. If you do this, you not only interrupt the process, but you also rekindle something much more powerful, the feeling of worth. In the last chapter, you will understand the ultimate truth that decides whether a woman discards you or chooses you again. In the end, there's a single question that determines everything. Are you still a man she can admire? When the answer is yes, she fights for the relationship. When the answer is no, she withdraws silently. No woman abandons what she still respects. No woman distances herself from what she still feels. No woman discards what still touches her. The silent instinct only activates when you cease to be an emotional presence and become just a routine. The ultimate truth is simple and brutal. Women don't abandon men. They abandon masculine versions that have ceased to exist. And if that made sense, you already know what the next step is. Save this video. Reread it when you need to. And remember, every relationship ends long before the final point and is reborn long before the reconciliation. If something in this video sparked an idea or a wound, please share it. Not for me, but for someone who is still trapped in the same invisible cycle you just escaped. Subscribe. In the next video, we'll go deeper than you think.